top 10 albums that I think you have to listen to for great guitar inspiration. What's up, everyone? Welcome to the channel and welcome to this episode of Real Guitar Talk, which today I'm going to take down a slightly different avenue than normal. A lot of times we talk about great gear and gear trends, things that I see involving gear and, being a smart consumer and all that. But really the whole purpose of gear is to support and inspire great music. And so today I wanted to talk about some of my absolute favorite albums that I think you should all listen to for the purpose of great musical inspiration, mostly guitar oriented. There's some that's not entirely guitar based here, but these are the albums that have really impacted my life when it comes to this kind of modern era for me of guitar playing. Great guitar tone, great guitar performances, and just stuff that I think you should all listen to because it's really great. Some of this will be very expected for you. Some of it will not be expected. Some of it you won't see coming at all. Now, before we get into great albums, I would be remiss if I didn't ask you all to, hey, why don't you check out my albums? I got some out there. I was just saying, I'm going to put some links to where you can stream it. I have a self-titled album, just my name, Jack Fossett. I have an album titled Blues, which is my own unique take of the blues. You can stream these on all the major music services. I also have a songwriter album called Shoreline. Please have a listen. We're all here to be musicians first and foremost, and gearheads second, hopefully. At least that's the proper order of things. Now, let's get to the albums that I think you have to listen to. At number 10, Tedeschi Trucks band Layla Revisited with Trey Anastasio. This is a live album, and first of all, Layla and Assorted Love Songs could very much be on this list on its own as well. The reason that this one kind of edged it is because it's, some of you may not have heard of it. I'm sure all of you have probably heard of the classic Derek and the Dominoes Layla album. But this one, just phenomenal performances, really great extended jams, great guitar interplay between Trey and Derek Trucks, exceptional versions of Any Day and Keep On Growing. Really, really great album. Absolutely worth listening to. It just makes you want to play when you listen to that album. It makes you just want to kind of be in that band on that stage with them. They were so good. At number 9, my favorite, probably modern songwriter is Mark Knopfler. Now, many people know Mark Knopfler from Dire Straits. Of course, they were one of the biggest bands in the world in the 80s and into the 90s. But Mark Knopfler has had an extensive solo career. I could have picked many of his albums. Sailing to Philadelphia is another great one, but Our Shangri-La is one that I found particularly inspiring. And there are a number of reasons. There are just some incredible tracks on there. Postcards from Paraguay, Our Shangri-La itself is a phenomenal tune. Boom Like That, which is about the founder of McDonald's, Ray Kroc. Really interesting songwriting, great subject matter, stuff that's a lot more off the beaten path and very just kind of thought-provoking than your typical Me and My Baby sort of stuff. And of course, fantastic guitar performances from Mark Knopfler, as you would expect. At number 8, all right, if you haven't heard this one, you really need to listen to this one. Riding with the King, B.B. King with Eric Clapton. Great performances of classic blues songs, and the interplay between the two is really great. A lot of clean guitar playing, which I like. I love listening to both of those guitar players playing on the cleaner side as opposed to just kind of like wild raucous. You get a little bit more intimate, for lack of a better word, a little bit more breathy kind of. It's very, very good performances. It's great to hear those two play with each other, particularly because BB inspired Eric so much, and to hear them go through so many of the classic cuts and do it together so well in what feels very much like you're in the room with them. It's just a very well produced album, great performances all around. At number 7, I'm going to stick with blues here. Now this is going to be kind of funny. All right, so why didn't I pick Texas Flood or Couldn't Stand the Weather, or one of his actual albums as opposed to the Essentials album? Well, here's the thing with blues, and I might get in trouble for saying this, but this is my honest opinion about blues. Blues is about songs more than it is about albums. Albums became kind of more of a thing, obviously, in the late 60s with Sgt. Pepper, which also could have easily been on this list, by the way. I love Sgt. Pepper. But albums became became an art form with longer movements and songs that kind of roll into each other. Like, you couldn't really do a Pink Floyd's greatest hits because you need to listen to some of the songs in context, with the other album in order to really get the full weight of them. Blues is very much a performance-based genre. It's about the feeling, the emotional content in each song. And you can really just stick a lot of great blues songs together and it makes a great album. I'm not saying that you can't do like more of a long movement with a blues album, but I am just saying it's basically more individual song based. Well, when I started playing guitar, I was really into Stratocasters, and it happened to be the year 2004, which was the 50th anniversary of the Stratocaster. So from a local guitar store, I got the 50th anniversary Fender. It was like a catalog. It wasn't really a catalog, but it was like a, kind of commemorative catalog type thing. And there was this guy on there that I had never seen or heard of before playing this wildly beat up Stratocaster with a cowboy hat on. And I thought, okay, I don't know who this is. Maybe I should check him out. So I went out and I bought Stevie Ray Vaughan Essentials on CD. And I just had such joy listening to that for the first time. I had never really heard anyone play the guitar like that before. And what I love about it is, again, blues, very song-based, and it's a huge collection of all his best songs. So, maybe it would be better to go with an actual album, but I really think you can't go wrong just with the Essentials for Stevie Ray. It really covers all the bases. There's some great live tracks on there. Just a really great album, really great collection of his phenomenal work. At number 6. Now, speaking of, one of my other favorite guitar players has always been David Gilmour. You talk about somebody who plays with incredible voice, incredible touch. Just, sometimes you listen to David Gilmour's playing and it feels like you're not listening to someone playing the guitar. It feels like you're listening to someone's soul screaming. It's that kind of power. Pulse was Gilmour in his prime, absolutely. Also kind of works as a greatest hits because, of course, it's a massive live thing. But what's really cool about it, too, is they play the entirety of Dark Side of the Moon in there. And at the end of the album, I believe it's the second to last song. I think they close with Run Like Hell. I believe the second to last song is Comfortably Numb. And the solo sort of reaches that like otherworldly status, and his playing throughout the whole album is fantastic. Really great cuts of a lot of the songs, but particularly when you get to Comfortably Numb, it's like if you're not inspired by that, you should just put the guitar down, if we're being totally honest. At number 5, one of my other favorite guitar players has always been Eric Clapton. Now, I love Clapton in multiple of his phases. I absolutely love Cream Clapton. I love 70s Clapton when he was playing either Little Champs in the studio or his Music Man amps on stage, and he got much more of a twangy, plucky sound from the Stratocaster versus, the massive sound of the Gibsons. The 80s had some cool stuff. Not really my favorite. There's a little too much cheesy synth in there, but there were still some awesome songs that he wrote and performed, and his playing was great. I think one of Clapton's prime eras of his playing was in the 90s and into the 2000s. He had gotten over some of his personal challenges, with addiction and things. His playing was at the top of his game, and it was before he kind of started to slow down a little bit as he got older. And the best example of that is From the Cradle. I think From the Cradle was him really going headfirst into blues that he always wanted to do, a really dedicated blues album, which everyone knows how inspired by blues he was, but he kind of danced around it for a while. And he said this in interviews before, where the idea of doing like that blues album head on was kind of intimidating. And, he did that album, and it just like absolutely superb playing from it. They've actually recently released some live cuts from that, and also he played a lot of it in a famous Hyde Park concert, which I have on DVD, and it's just all him at the top of his game. Great tone, great playing, everything about it I just love. If you're into blues, if you're into Eric Clapton, that's to me, I think that might be as good as it ever gets for him. At number 4. Now, I grew up listening to the Beatles and the Beach Boys, so I could never just be a blues person. Again, this is nothing against the blues, but blues has a narrower, more focused kind of approach to it. You have to be within a certain framework when you're talking about blues music. And when you grow up, the first two albums I had on cassette were the Beach Boys' Greatest Hits and Sgt. Pepper. And when you listen to stuff like that, you sort of inherently develop a craving for great lyrical content, great chord movements and everything. And one of the best and most powerful albums I've ever heard is Tom Petty's Wildflowers. And you can really feel what he was feeling when you listen to those songs. Now, there's great guitar work in there also. It's not like it's not a guitar album, but it's not really a guitar album in comparison with the others on this list. But that's one that if you just want to listen to great songs and feel something and feel the movement of it, feel the way that he's sort of, it's like he's trying to translate to you, communicate to you that he never feels settled. He never feels like he belongs. And then when you kind of round out the album, it gets to a point where he's been moving his whole life. He's never felt like he could stay in one place and be settled. And yet he's always kind of drawn back to the same place. And it's just really incredible songs, incredibly powerful musicianship. If you don't know Wildflowers, you should go turn off this video and go listen to that right now. At number 3, another one who's been one of my modern favorites is Bill Frisell. And talk about somebody who just, plays in a way that is so pure, so musical, and off the beaten path. It's definitely a little bit different. But, he's one that I can just absolutely get immersed in the music in a way that I can't with other musicians. I listen to him and it really just like washes over me and kind of takes me for a ride. And he's one that I can't play like, but I also have to remind myself that I shouldn't try because that's not my voice. It's just someone with an incredible voice on the guitar. And Good Dog, Happy Man is really great. I thought about putting another one on there, which was Folk Songs Volume 1, but that's also a compilation one, and I kind of, these were sort of like on par with each other for me, and I did think like, okay, well I should, I already went down the, greatest hits kind of path, at least at one point, but really listen to both of those albums. But Good Dog, Happy Man, it's just really good. It's just really good. And it's something, if you're used to just listening to blues and rock, it's something that's gonna move you in a different way and remind you that guitar isn't just for sort of one direction of musical expression. At number 2, I've always loved old blues, old soul. Ray Charles has been one of my longtime favorites from long before I ever became a musician. Even B.B. King, who's kind of, his music is very dear to me. I got into B.B. King after I started playing guitar. Ray Charles I've been listening to since I was a kid. And I love Ray Charles' music. And John Scofield, that's what I say, is such a great, it's another one, kind of like Tedeschi Trucks, great collaboration of musicians doing really incredible versions of classic songs in a way that's new and unique, but also honors them. John Mayer's on there, Warren Haynes is on there, all kinds of great, Dr. John was on there, all kinds of great musicians. Really fantastic versions of I've Got a Woman and What Did I Say, and you name it, it just absolutely listen to that. And again, kind of pushes you, if you're someone like me who's like a typical blues rocker, it sort of pushes you beyond those boundaries. It takes you down different roads and shows you different ways that you can be expressive, even still staying within this genre, that it doesn't need to sort of just stay on this kind of beaten path. And to close it out, my number 1 album for listening for guitar inspiration. I hope all of you saw Jeff Beck coming on this, and there are a lot of Jeff Beck albums, but there's never been a Jeff Beck album that moved me quite as much as Emotion and Commotion. And it's got such an incredible blend. It's got classical, it's got old standards, it's got blues, it's got jazz, it's got rock, it's got sort of these ethereal songwriter things, it's got kind of like some world music influences, but it all fits. And it's Jeff in his modern prime. It's Jeff playing the way that he, with his Stratocaster and the tremolo thing that he did, and it's him at his absolute best, I think, doing that in a way where he is just purely in the music. An absolutely incredible version of the song Lilac Wine featuring Imelda May as a vocalist. There are a number of guests on this one as well. And I can't think of another album that could top the list better than this one to just listen to and not only be in awe of someone else's guitar playing, but to, again, like, remind yourself that we should be musicians first and guitar players second. So that's my list for the top 10 inspirational guitar albums that you should all listen to. There's no right or wrong for this, so please let us know in the comments what albums would you suggest listening to. For me too, I'll listen to them. Give me some suggestions and I'd love to listen to more. But please leave in the comments, what would you have on your list? Give me 1, give me 10, I don't care. Whatever you find inspiring that's worth writing down. I'm Jack Fossett. Please remember to like, share, and subscribe, and we'll see you next time.
Whispering wonderment on the shore, lights of the past shine forevermore. A gentle sway on the deck, it dances all night long, and being with you soothes my soul. As we sail away, a priceless freedom from the world today. A dreamy look in your eye is shining all night long, and here with you I will say, we're leaving the world we know behind as we venture setting sail at sunset.